Chapter 7. We're going to start with 1.3, which is perimeter. The perimeter of a two-dimensional shape is the distance around the shape. The perimeter of the shape to the right is 10.8 centimeters. That means I added up all those numbers to get to 10.8. All right, so we're going to go ahead and skip a little bit here. We're going to look at this ruler first. Whenever you use a ruler, make sure that you are looking to see what units are on your ruler and that when you start to measure, you are actually at 0. Sometimes it's clear to the end of the ruler, but sometimes it is not. So pay attention to that. Now skip on over to page 9, because that's where we're going to go next. All right, if we get to page 9 here, let me blow this up a little bit for you. You're going to see Ms. Child's floor plan. Athena made the measurements and labeled below. She claims these are the only measurements she needs to make. Is she correct? Are these the only measurements I need to make to find perimeter? Well, you could look at this more than one way. You could say no, because she didn't label every single side of the room, because in order to find perimeter, you need to add up all the sides. Or you could say yes, based on what we've given, we could find the other sides. So if I look down here at the bottom a little bit, I'll blow this up for you so you can see it. I can see that this red, if I add it on up to where this 3.5 is, it's going to go ahead and make the line all the way across. So if I could make this line move all the way up here, it is just as wide as the one below. So I could say, okay, I have 3.5. How much more do I need to add to it to get to that? So I could say that this line, this red, is 0.5. And I could also say that this blue line over here is the entire distance all the way from top to bottom. So that would be the 1 and the 0.6. So this is 1.6. If I assume she knew that, then I could say yes to that question. So you decide if you think she knew or did not know. Now, if we go down a little bit further here, it's going to ask find the perimeter of the floor to the nearest tenth. Well, to find the perimeter, we have to add up all the sides. So that means I'm going to add 1, 0.5, 0.6, 3.5, 1.6, and 4 all together to find out that the perimeter of this room is 11.2 centimeters. And it is important that we label what units. Now it says the actual measures. Well, if we would have looked at the first pages, we would have saw there was a scale on page 7. The scale said for every 1 centimeter is equal to 2 meters. So if I wanted to know the actual distance, I would take the 11.2 and multiply it by 2, because every one of those is 2 meters, to find out that it is 22.4 meters actually. Now, we're going to skip on a bit further here, and we're going to talk about perimeter of polygons, adding the lengths of all sides. If you look at the bottom of page 9 there, you'll see a formula. This formula works for rectangles and only for rectangles. That's the only thing I can use this formula. And it means 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. That's because for a rectangle, the length, both lengths have to be the same and both widths have to be the same. So we could just multiply them by 2. So let's go ahead and use that formula here for the first one. If you have a rectangle that is 5.7 meters long and the width is 2.9, what is the actual perimeter for it? Well, I can use the formula to help me decide that. Remember, I'm making a rectangle here. Let's go ahead and just draw one out. And it told me that the width was 2.9 and the length was 5.7. If I'm going to use the formula, I'm going to use the formula that's going to say 2 times the length of 5.7 plus 2 times the width of 2.9. And I'm going to find out that the actual perimeter of this would equal 17.2 meters. That's my actual answer there if I'm using that formula. Now the next one says, go ahead and try to find for the floor plan of a rectangle has a perimeter of 42. What are 3 possible dimensions that we could use? Well, that means what am I going to multiply 2 times the length, 2 times the width to get to that? There are actually 10 options that you could use. Here's a couple. I could say that the width is 6 and the length is 15. Because if I do 2 times 6, that's 12, and 2 times 15 is 30. 12 plus 30 is 42. I could say that I have 9 and 12. Again, check it. Is 2 times 9 plus 2 times 12 really 42? How about 8 and 13? There are actual 10 possibilities here. Normally, if you're unsure, start with 1 as the width. If the width is 1, well, 1 and 1 is 2. How much more do I need to get to that 42? I need 20. Or I'm sorry, I need 40, and half of that 40 is 20. So 1 and 20 would work. Just make sure that you're checking these to be sure. Now, number 9 says, a square floor has a perimeter of 32.4 meters. How long is each side of the floor? Well, remember, a square means that all sides are the same. So if the total is 32.4 and I have 4 sides, I would need to divide that by 4 to find out that each side is going to be 8.1. Okay, make sure that you're labeling. I think we're talking about meters here, so we want to make sure we put the M for meter. So what do you think this formula for a square could be? Well, if I wanted to find out what the perimeter of a square is, you're talking about all the sides. Well, there's 4 of them. So 4 times the side would give me the perimeter. That means 4 times the measurement of one side. That's what you're looking for. And that would give me the total perimeter for a square. Let's go ahead and practice a couple. If a square is 5-inch sides, what's the perimeter? Well, we just said that it was 4 times the sides. So that'd be 4 times 5. So that would give me 20 inches. A rectangle has a length of 12 and a width of 8. Well, remember, it's 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Those parentheses mean that multiplication. Don't forget to come up with 40 centimeters. All right, does anybody remember what these dashes mean on a figure? Those dashes indicate that all sides are the same. So that means all of these sides would be 8. So if I wanted to add them all up to find the perimeter, I would find out that it's 32 meters. It doesn't matter what kind of figure you have. You add up all the sides that you have. In this triangle for number 4, if you added those all together, you're going to get 24 feet. Make sure you're labeling those as well. Now, let's go ahead and look at some more. It doesn't matter. We have the dashes on number 5. That means that all the sides are the same. Well, how many sides do I have here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I could just say that it's 23 times 8 to get to me to that answer, which would be 184 millimeters. Now look at this one on number 6. It didn't give me all the sides, but it gave me enough information to find the rest. Because of those right angles there, it helps me. So if I'm looking here and this side is 5, well, opposite it also has to be 5. So that means that side has to equal 5. And if I see here, this is 5, this has to be 5 because they're in the same locations and they have those right angles. Now I want to go completely, the top is 22. So if this is 22, that means the bottom has to be 22. And this 7 here, across from it must also be 7. Now look at the other ones. If this is 5 over here on this side, these two on this side must also be 5. So these are both going to be 5. And then where I can see there's a 5 here and here on the other side, that must be 5 as well. So these must be 5. Now that I was able to label all the sides, I can go ahead and add them all up to find out that it is 98 inches. Let's look down at the bottom one. We need to determine what A and B and C are going to be. Well, let's first start with A. All right, this whole top has to be 17. That means all the way across the bottom also has to be 17. We know that this part of it is 5, and this part of it is 5. We are looking for this middle part. That's where the A is going to be. It's right there in the middle. That's what we want to find. So what is that going to be? Well, 5 plus 5 is 10. The whole thing has to be 17. So 17 minus 10 equals 7. So A has to be 7 feet. And then for B, this side is 25. That means this side must be 25. They need to match. So that's 25 feet. Now to find C. Well, when you look at what they've made, this is 5 here. Here's the 5 for that. This must also be 5. So C has to be 5 feet. Now go ahead and add up all the sides. Be sure not to miss any of them so that we're sure that we have all of them added up. And you should come up with a total of 94 feet. If you didn't, go ahead and re-add again to make sure that we didn't miss any of the numbers. Here are some more. Feel free to go ahead and practice them and check in class if you have them right. We're going to go ahead and skip right over to page 13. Okay, page 13 has some more figures where we want to find the missing parts. We want to find A and we want to find B. Well, let's think about A. A on the others is this whole side up and down. So I have to go up and down the whole side on this one. Well, I have the 9 and the 12. If I put those together, A equals 9 plus 12. Or A is equal to 21 centimeters. Now to find B, this much is 18. How much is this much? Well, the whole thing has to be 45. That's how much it is all the way across. So B is 45 minus 18 to find out that B is actually going to be 27 centimeters. Now, make sure we're adding them all up. I like to write mine down so I don't miss any of them, but that's up to you if you write them down or not. If you add up all of these, you're going to find out that it is 132 centimeters. Go ahead and try the next two and come back and check your work. All right, hopefully you did these and you're coming back to check. You should have got A was 9 feet, B is 38 feet, and the total is 106 feet. If you didn't, go back and check again, see what you missed. And for the last one here, you should have got A is 1 foot, B is 1 foot, and C is 4 feet. If you didn't get those numbers, go back and check or be sure to ask questions. And the total was 34 feet. That's what you should have gotten if you added up all the sides for perimeter. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about estimating perimeter. Remember, an estimation is not an exact measurement. How do we estimate this? Well, for perimeter, you start in one corner and you go corner to corner. You do not skip any corners. You go right along the black of the figure and never lift up your pencil. If you do that, you'll be sure to hit every single corner, whether you're going straight across or diagonal, to see that you've done this 18 times. And they put centimeters as their unit, as that's what they're measuring in. Let's try the next one. Start in the corner. Go corner to corner. Do not skip any of them, whether you're going diagonal or across, and keep going all the way around the black, never lifting up your pencil, and then come back and count them. So if I start counting, I'll see that I could go all the way around the figure, continuing to count every single loop that I made to find out how many total loops that I made. Don't skip any of them, and you're sure to figure out that you should have 15 of them. Make sure you didn't miss any. If you did, go back and check again. And if they don't tell you what the units is, you can just put U down for units to make sure that we have them all. So double check, make sure we got them all. The same thing works when they're curves. Remember, we're still going corner to corner. We're not missing any corners, even though it doesn't fully fill in the square. Remember, we're talking about perimeter, so we're going around the outside. How much would I need? And then go back and number them, making sure that you do not miss any that you made. Double check, make sure I don't miss any. Every loop gets a number. Find out that this one is 12 units. You can try the next ones and come back and check what you got. Well, for number 3, hopefully you did it. You came up with 16 units. And for number 4, you also came up with 16 units. If you didn't, go back and try again and ask some questions in class. Your homework are page 2 and 3, and it's due on Monday.